Trisha and Marquez is one of the wildest and most talked about messes in Huntsville. The way this divorce played out, the way the court stepped in, and the way the judge ruled, it has everybody talking. And trust me when I say you want to stick around until the very end of this video, because I'm going to break down every single detail, every twist, and every shocker that came out of this court battle. By the time we're done, your jaw will be on the floor. And you'll be asking yourself how these people even managed to keep going with all this drama swirling around them. Grab your snacks, get comfortable, because this is going to be a ride you don't want to miss. So, let's start right at the heart of it. Trisha and Marquez are officially divorced. Finally, after what felt like forever, the documents are signed and the ink is dry. The grounds? Incompatibility of temperament. Now let's be honest, those are just fancy words for they could not stand each other anymore. And that's the understatement of the century, because we've seen enough and heard enough to know these two couldn't see eye to eye on anything. It's like oil and water. No matter how much you shake it, it's never going to mix. So nobody is really surprised that it ended this way. But here's where things get juicy. The drama didn't end with the divorce papers. If anything, it just got worse, because the court came through with a set of rules and restrictions that shook everybody. Up, the court didn't just say, okay, y'all are divorced. Oh no, they laid down the law, and it was serious. First, they gave Trisha primary custody of their daughter. That might sound straightforward, but then came the twist. Marquez was given visitation rights, but those rights came with some strict strings attached. Overnight visits? Not even allowed. At least not yet. The judge made it very clear. No overnight visits until Marquez can prove he has his own place, utilities in his name, and not one, not two, but 3 consecutive clean drug tests. Now, let's pause right there, because and I know judges don't just pull drug tests out of thin air. That means somebody brought something up. Somebody raised the issue of possible substance use. And when a judge writes that into the order, it's because they saw enough evidence or enough concern to make it official. That right there was the first eyebrow raiser in this case. And here's the thing. If Marquez can't prove he's stable, if he can't prove he's clean, then overnight visits with his own daughter are off the table. And honestly, I can't be mad at that, because at the end of the day, this is about making sure a child is safe. If you want to be a parent with overnight visits, you have to show you're capable. You have to show you're stable, and you have to show that your life is in order. That's just basic responsibility. But you already know this is going to be a challenge for Marquez. And when someone is backed into a corner like this, when they're being tested like this, the drama almost always spills over, and that means more fights, more back and forth, and more courtroom visits in the future. Stick with me, because this part alone is going to come back around later, and it's going to be messy. Now, if you thought that was the biggest twist, oh no. The court added something else, something so specific that everybody's been talking about it. They ruled that Trisha cannot live with any romantic partner in the same home as her daughter unless she is married to that partner. Let me say that again. Unless she is married. Y'all, that's huge. Because as far as we all know, Trisha has been living with Ken. And now with this order, if they want to keep living together, they don't have a choice. They have to get married. This isn't about love anymore. This isn't about taking your time. This is about the law saying, either put a ring on it or he has to move out. That is pressure like you've never seen before. Now, this kind of clause doesn't usually show up in court orders. This isn't standard. This is specific. And you know what that tells me? That Marquez pushed for it. Maybe he told the court he didn't want Ken around his daughter unless it was something official. Maybe he painted Ken as a danger, or maybe he just wanted to tighten the screws on Trisha's relationship. Whatever it was, it worked, because the judge put it in writing, and that changes everything. Now Trisha has a choice to make. Either she marries Ken, or he has to move out. And the kicker, this wasn't some down-the-road kind of ruling. No, this was effective immediately. Ken was supposed to be out of that house by 5 p.m. on IB's August 25th if they weren't married. Effective immediately, honey. Not next week, not next month. Right now. And that raises a whole new set of questions. How exactly are they going to enforce that? Because, and I know that when 2 people are in a relationship, they're going to spend time together. Maybe Ken is over at Trisha's house for 3 weeks straight, then leaves for a week, then comes back again. Is that considered living there? or visiting? What even counts as living there? This is a gray area with a lot of room for loopholes. And considering Ken is a truck driver, he's on the road a lot anyway. So technically, he could always say, "I'm not living there, I'm just stopping by in between trips." You see where I'm going with this? This is messy waiting to happen, and I can almost guarantee someone will end up back in court arguing over it. But here's the part that makes this even more dramatic. Trisha has always been hesitant about marrying Ken. For the longest time, she had excuses. First, she was still married to Marquez, so she couldn't marry Ken even if she wanted to. But now, that excuse is gone. The divorce is finalized. Nothing is standing in her way except her own hesitation. And that's telling. Because how long can she keep dragging her feet before Ken starts to realize maybe she just doesn't want to marry him? And don't forget, Ken has already been questioning things. He's been talking to Will, wondering if he really wants to stick this out, wondering if Trisha is really worth it. And yes, I know a lot of that is storyline for the show, but there's truth under that. Because when a man starts questioning whether he's wasting his time, it's only a matter of time before he makes a move. And speaking of Ken, let's talk about him for a minute. What is it about Trisha that has him so wrapped up? Because if we're being honest, she doesn't come across as the most fun or exciting person. Yet Ken acts like she's the best thing that ever happened to him. Maybe that's love. Maybe that's comfort. Maybe that's just him thinking he can't do better. But whatever it is, it has kept him by her side through all this mess. And let's be real, everybody has that one person who sticks by them, no matter what. Maybe that's what Ken is for Trisha. He's the one person who will always be there, even when things get ugly. But how long can that last? That's the million-dollar question. Now let's get into another shocking part of the court ruling. Marquez was ordered to pay $300 a month in child support. $300. Y'all, that is grocery money, not child-raising money. That's barely covering the basics. So, that makes me wonder, what's really going on with Marquez's finances? Because child support is usually based on income, and $300 suggests he's not making much. Maybe he's struggling financially. Maybe he's hiding money. Either way, this leaves Trisha carrying most of the financial load. Unless Ken steps in to help. But that adds even more pressure to their relationship, because if Ken is footing the bills, that ties him even deeper into this mess. And we all know money issues can break couples apart just as quickly as cheating can. But here's the real kicker. The judge ruled that their daughter cannot appear on the show at all. No name, no image, no likeness, nothing. She is off limits. Period. And that's huge because so much of Trisha and Marquez's drama has revolved around their daughter. Who's picking her up? Who's dropping her off? Who's doing what? And now, none of that can be shown. The child is protected. And I have to say, I respect that. Because if there's one thing Huntsville courts have made clear, it's that they do not play when it comes to kids being dragged into reality TV mess. We saw it with the Eminem kids, and now we're seeing it again here. So, where does that leave us? Well, Trisha has to make some big decisions. Does she marry Ken to keep him in the house? Does she risk losing him if she doesn't? And what about Ken? How long can he keep waiting before he decides he's had enough? And let's not forget Marquez. Will he step up, get his life in order, and prove he's ready to be a stable father?